I'm Amanda West, Director of Production for the AT&T Performing Arts Center.
Hi, and I'm Aaron Johansen, the lighting manager for the center. We are leading today's Tech Talk, part of our Backstage Spotlight Arts Education program. And while usually we prefer bringing the students to the center, we are taking these classes online so that you can experience our technical theater training program from home. Today, we are focusing on an introduction to lighting design and technology.
Aaron and I both do a lot of work as lighting designers in the theater. We work with a creative team that includes directors, choreographers, scenics, costume and sound designers to interpret our script and come up with a concept, and then we create our lighting atmosphere for the show. Lighting brings a lot of different elements to the stage. It can tell people where to look or not to look. It can create the mood. It can tell people about the time of day or create a sense of motion as action moves from one part of the stage to the other. And it can also be meaningful and symbolic and be part of the storytelling of the play. But lighting designers do that same kind of process in all elements of the entertainment industry. Lighting designers work in television and film and fashion and dance. In dance, lighting design enhances the choreography, or in concerts where lighting enhances the music and goes along to the beat.
No matter what kind of show we're doing, the lighting designer relies on color, direction, intensity, and texture to imagine the visual picture we'd like to create on stage. We do a lot of homework to select the right type of lighting fixtures to give us the quality of light that we're looking for. We take these lighting fixtures and make a light plot, placing these lighting fixtures on the light plot around the theater to get the direction of light that we need for the show. We also create cues to change the lighting from moment to moment to move us through the show. You can see examples of all these in the handouts that were provided.
Today, Aaron and I are going to show you some examples of different kinds of shows we have designed at the venues at the AT&T Performing Arts Center. We will be describing them using a lot of the key lighting terms from your handout, like focus and practical and special, so make sure you check those out. And we will start at the Wiley Theater in our studio. The Wiley has two different spaces in the theater. This one is our black box space. It's a flexible space that can be arranged however you like, and it seats about 100 people inside, and the first show is Aaron's.
In the case of Dallas Theater Center's Oedipus El Rey, we decided to do the show in the round. So as you can see in the top left picture, the audience was seated in a circular fashion with most of the action in the center of the stage, and also the actors moved around the top of the platform around the audience. The original concept for the show was very limited lighting. Because the show took place in a prison, we wanted to stay very natural, a lot of white, harsh light, shadow, intensity, things like that. We didn't use a lot of color, and there was no texture in the show at all. The special thing about this show was I talked the director into making all of the lighting actor motivated. So the actors drove all the lighting changes and also lit each other at some points. We took parkans, a theatrical fixture, and put rheostat dimmers on the side of them so that the actors could pick up a light, turn it on, point it at another actor for a scene. They were lighting each other. So as you can see in the right-hand side picture, you see two actors sitting holding two lights. On the opposite side of this picture, where you can't see, there are two actors doing the same thing. This was to show two cars sitting in the street and their headlights shining at each other. You can see in the bottom left what came from this. There's two gentlemen standing in the street having a fight, and both of their headlights are lighting each other. So the main focus of this design was on intensity and shadow and That's about it.
Another show that was in the Studio Theater, this was also with the Dallas Theater Center, their production of Fade. This one was set in an office building, and the important part of the lighting concept in here was that the lighting looked realistic to an office. And the big challenge here was that the lighting doesn't change in an office very much. In every scene, it was after hours in the office at the same time. And our janitor character there never changed costumes. He was always wearing the same thing. So it really relied on the lighting to tell us that time had passed in between the scenes. So we used practical sources again. You can see those fluorescent lights up above and some lamps and things like that. We used that window behind the desk in between the scenes to help convey to the audience that the days had changed by the actors flipping off the light switches or using different combinations of the lamps being on at different times to move us through the play when there was very little else to tell us that time had changed inside this room. Next, we're moving on to the main space. This is the Potter Rose Performance Hall inside the Wiley Theater. This venue is best known for being a flexible space. It can be a proscenium, it can be a thrust, it can be a completely flat floor because the seating moves, the balcony moves, everything moves around. You'll learn a lot more about this venue in a later Backstage Spotlight. The thrust configuration is the first one I'm going to show you for a show that I did for the Dallas Theater Center. This is Public Works As You Like It. In the top left corner there, you can see the thrust configuration. Direction is very important here. You can see we have audience on 3 sides, which means you have to light the actors pretty much from every direction all the way around so that they can be seen by everybody in the audience. Texture was very important in this show. We had 2 main locations, which was our forest in Arden. You can see our tree there. And so to give it a very organic feel, if you look down at the floor, you can see the kind of blotchy pattern that's on the ground that's made with gobos to give it a foliage breakup kind of feel on the ground that would be on the actors' faces as they pass through the light to give the impression of light passing through those branches. The other location was in the Kingdom, which was a much scarier, rigid place. And so on the left-hand side, if you look at the floor, we've got these geometric shapes and hard lines, which are supposed to evoke a more restrictive feel. And then that was also made with a gobo on the floor. But if you look center stage, just behind the leading lady there, you see that lacy pattern on the back. That was actually made in real life. The little girls sitting on the floor were holding flashlights and had a piece of paper with cutouts in it and projected that like a shadow puppet and projected that pattern right up on the wall themselves. And then the last way we did texture in this show was in the air. If you look at the picture on the right, you see all those beams of light coming out from behind. That was done with a moving light and with haze or an atmospheric effect in the air that gives your light some things to reflect off of. This is used a lot in musicals. The light was actually spinning around to go with the music and enhance that dance number. So you can put different shapes on the floor or in the air of texture, all to enhance your scene.
As opposed to a theater performance, we're looking at a private birthday party that was held at the Wiley Theater. As Amanda was talking about, the space is configurable to proscenium, thrust, and flat floor. So right here, we're looking at a flat floor configuration where the stage level has been brought to all one level, so the room is flat across, and the seating towers have all been flown out into the ceiling. As opposed to a theater performance, you're not working with a director per se, you're working with the client to get the feel and the emotion that they want from their party. The concept behind the show was elegant, dramatic, and peaceful. The theme of the night was Motown. So as the guests came in, they were greeted by a beautiful room look. They sat down to dinner. We changed the lighting look to focus more on the table, less on the surroundings. And then as the night continued, they went into a party aspect where they used the dance floor, and we had a Motown band on stage that performed throughout the evening to entertain them. So this, we're using a lot of texture, a lot of color, a lot of shadow. There was a mirror ball, all kinds of fun. The fun aspects of lighting were used for this party.
Then we move on to the Winspear Opera House. This is our largest room, holds over 2,000 people on the inside. I wanted to show you this one because in a space like this, much like in a thrust where you have to think about your audience sitting on three sides, you have to think about what the stage looks like to somebody sitting right there on the ground floor or up in the farthest balcony up above. I did Hairspray here with the Dallas Theater Center. This was a big musical. This is a lot about keeping up with the choreography and enhancing the music. So there was a lot of moving lights in this show, a lot of flashing and moving around, lots of color changes. And in a musical like this, the scene changes happen pretty quickly. What I wanted to show you in this one was the use of silhouette. If you look at the picture on your right, we've got our dancers standing on that scaffold. We've got the cyclorama behind them, and there's front light lighting them so we can see them dancing. On the picture on the left, the same actors are on the same scaffolding with the same cyclorama behind them, but we flew a drop right in front of them that had some cutouts in it, and we took away the front light, and now they're in silhouette, and they look like they're in a very different place in like remote chill cell, and that's using silhouette and just getting rid of your front light.
Next, again, we're going to talk about another party that was thrown at the Winspear Opera House. This was, again, the Dallas Theater Center. It's their center stage gala, which is their fundraising gala every year. This was hosted on the stage of the Winspear. So as the guests entered the Winspear Hall, they were greeted by the chandelier multicolored chasing. We had these balloons that were flown over the tables that were color chasing throughout the night. And then as the audience walked up on stage, they found their table. The concept of this party was rave. So it was very colorful, lots of colors, lots of black light used, lots of upbeat movement. And then after the main performer performed on stage, then we moved to the after party, which there was a black background at the back of the stage, flew out, and we found this other stage where DJ Lucy performed, and that was set up to be a true rave. So we had a truss configuration over the audience with a bunch of moving lights, this white fabric to bounce light off of. It was very colorful, lots of movement, lots of texture. There was lots of haze, which is theatrical smoke that lingers in the air that shows the beams of lights. And everybody had a lot of fun at this party. Next, we're going to talk about Annette Strauss Square, which is another venue at our center. It's our outdoor concert venue. This venue holds about 2,200 people. In this venue, we do a lot of concerts, family-oriented festivals, dance shows, and sometimes even theater performances. This is a couple photos from Pink Martini, which is a touring band that comes through. They've been here a couple times. This was my first time working with them. And with the touring concerts, sometimes the band will come with their own lighting designer. Then my job is to just make sure everything works and that they have everything that they need to produce a great show. In this case, Pink Martini did not come with a lighting designer, so it was my task to build a show for them and run the show for them. I had never heard any of Pink Martini's music before, so I used a tool called busking, which is basically setting up your light board to produce several really good looks very quickly. So you have several buttons on your light board programmed so that you can go into a pink look, and you can go into a blue look, and you can go into an audience look, and you can go into all these different looks very quickly and build your show on the fly. And that's what I had to do for this concert since I had never heard their music before. It was a great time. Next, we also do some theater performances out at Strauss. The Dallas Theater Center produced Elektra. Greek tragedy out there where we used Strauss Square, and we also used most of the AT&T Performing Arts campus. So the audience started on stage in the temple and then were led throughout the campus. They went out into the grass, through the back bunker, and then through the campus all the way to the reflecting pool. So a lot of this concept was harsh light. There was a lot of area to light. We used a lot of texture, used no color actually. We used fluorescence to create signs. They were ancient rune signs throughout the campus. We used a lot of intensity to show shadow and brightness and everything in between. So as the audience went through the center, they ended at the reflecting pool, where each audience member had a candle, and they surrounded the reflecting pool with candles, and it was a very beautiful moment to end the play.
That's it for today's segment of Backstage Spotlight's Tech Talk. We want to thank all the foundations and donors who make the Center's arts education programs possible. We couldn't do this without you. If you'd like to help the Center offer more programs like this, please visit atpac.org/support. I'm Amanda West.
And I'm Aaron Johansen at the AT&T Performing Arts Center, yours to discover.